Well, welcome. We are so glad you're here. We have a list here of all of our districts that we are celebrating today here with you. And we're just so proud to see that there are schools here from the north and south, east and west, and all the corners of Ohio. We're excited to have you as our partners in this work. We hope that you will put your name in the chat and say hello and use the chat just as a chance to talk to one another and to us throughout this time today. We just want to welcome our district leaders. We want to welcome our school leaders and our teams from our schools. And also we want to welcome the state support team coaches today. Welcome to all of you for this celebration for Ohio's partnership schools. We're here to celebrate you. We're here to celebrate those partnerships that you nurtured with families this year to support your students. So I want to just take a moment too to just introduce the Ohio State team that's here supporting you. My name is Barbara Boone, and I direct Ohio's statewide Family Engagement Center at the Center on Education and Training for Employment here in the College of Education and Human Ecology at The Ohio State University. That's a long thing just to say I'm at OSU, and we are so proud to be here with you, with all of you here today. So if I can introduce Kristen from our team.
Yes, I was throwing something in the chat there for a minute. Hello, good afternoon, now that it's 12:30. Thank you all for joining us today. We're here to celebrate you. I am Kristen McKinnon. I have sent you many communications throughout the last couple years, and I will continue to do so. Please don't hesitate to reach out to me if you have any questions. So welcome.
And we have Dr. Meredith Wellman here from our team.
Hi, everyone. Happy Friday. Thanks for coming.
And Beth Crawford.
Hello. I'm so happy to be here with you all celebrating the end of the year.
Yes. Springtime in Ohio, end of the year, lots of things still going on. We know that you're busy, and we know that you had a lot of things going on right now, but you're taking some time to celebrate. We think that's important, so thanks for taking this time with us. So here's really what we'd like to do with all of you here today. We're celebrating, and just want to point out that, Dr. Epstein and this model recommends that we celebrate the partnerships that we have with our communities and our families. This is based on her research. We want to recognize the accomplishments that you have made. Taking time to reflect and to enjoy is important. It's in our schools, in our districts, in our state network. It's good for us to do this. And so I'm glad you're taking the time to care for your team and for yourselves in this way. The meeting today is to recognize you, to celebrate. We want to share some great photos with you throughout this time that you have sent to us. And we're also going to hear from our special guest, Dr. Antoinette Miranda, and she has a message just for you at this on this special occasion. We've also set aside some time later today. So Dr. Antoinette Miranda is here. And then we've set aside some time for you. We know how much you kind of like to be able to share with one another. So we've set aside a chunk of time for that. And we have some different rooms, and you'll be able to join a room and talk with just some elementary school teams, some just with district leaders, just high schools or middle schools, or to bring our SST coaches all together. So we're going to have some breakout rooms for you to be able to talk about how things are going for you, and share with one another, maybe pose some questions to one another. And then we're going to end up with some reminders and some big thank yous, and then opportunities before we wrap up, some opportunities you may want to take advantage of for your schools. So let's just get started. I'm just going to share with you to kick things off just a few of the photos that we received from you. We just love this one we got from Discovery Academy in Toledo, and just this just looks like a great team. I kind of want to go to one of their meetings because it looks like I bet they have a good time when they're doing hard work together. So thanks for Discovery Academy in Toledo, and also from Sandy Valley School, Sandy Valley Elementary. This is just a great picture. It's so fun to see you all in your buildings with the artwork on the walls, to see where these sort of partnerships with families and your students happen. And also Sandy Valley Middle School. Great to see you in the library here with your team. A great looking team here, and just excited that you shared this with us. So you took the time to take the photo and to share it with us so that we could celebrate you and share it with others. And the high school. And it's so exciting to see an elementary school, middle, and high school coming together, and the power and potential there is for you when you're building connections with your communities, when you're working with families, to see that they move, and families are in your different buildings. They are moving through your buildings as their children progress through school, and to be able to kind of support them and work with them through all of those transitions. So great to see. So thanks, Sandy Valley, for sending your photos. We also want to share this one from Adams County, Peebles Elementary School. And this is one that includes a student, which is just a real high point for us when we saw the student there smiling with the team. It's all about her, and students are also really valuable members and bring such great perspectives to help us do this work better. So excited to see a student in there with your group. And from Adena Local Schools as well. This is just a great photo. We love the artwork in it and seeing you all in the school hallway. So thanks for sending these. So congratulations to Adena Local Schools. And so with that, we have more of those coming. But right now, I would just like to pause and because I have the pleasure of introducing to you a very special guest who we invited here to celebrate with you, and that's Dr. Antoinette Miranda. Antoinette Miranda is currently the chair of teaching and learning at The Ohio State University in our College of Education and Human Ecology. She earned her bachelor's degree in psychology and her MAD and PhD in school psychology from the University of Cincinnati. And she has been at Ohio State for 34 years as a professor in the school psychology program. She's been in the education field for almost 40 years, and during her tenure at Ohio State, she has collaborated with many, many districts in Central Ohio, providing diversity training to educators and training schools in that multi-tiered systems of support approach that's so important. She has over 50 publications. She's won numerous awards for her work in schools, and she's been really a champion for public education. And she was also, which I just think is phenomenal, and I know that you will be excited about too, she is also a state board member. She was elected in November of 2016 and was reelected in November of 2020. And as a state school board member, she's worked in the development of the strategic plan that is really guiding all of us. She served on numerous committees, and she chaired the Continuous Improvement Committee and the Emerging Issues Committee. She's really worked to promote practices that provide equitable services to the children in Ohio. And she's married to Jim. She's got 2 kids of her own. And so we are excited to have her here with us today. So Dr. Miranda, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Barbara. I had been thinking about what I was going to say. And one of the things that's the last 2 years is I've just learned to be able to do Zoom. To be honest, I love to do stuff in person and be able to talk. And if you're a university professor, you can talk all day long. So I wanted to make sure that I got my thoughts out. And so I'm going to be really kind of going through, I don't like to call it a speech, but some words of wisdom, but also probably we'll be sharing some other things. I wanted to leave some opportunities for questions if people have them. And so I'll leave some time to be able to do that. But good afternoon. I feel privileged, really privileged to be here today as part of the celebration of the Ohio Statewide Family Engagement Center project. What an inspiring, necessary, and important work that you're doing. We too often talk about what is wrong and what is needed, but this project is a doer. I love solution-focused work. Now more than ever, there is a need to engage parents and caregivers as partners in the education enterprise. The pandemic has changed the education landscape in ways we never expected. We are in a new normal, and I'm sure many of you have heard people say, I just want to get back to normal. And our reality is that's not happening. And so we have to look at what is our new normal. But instead of being Debbie Downer, I want to be optimistic and see the time as an opportunity to really do something different that will lead to positive outcomes for all children. I've been in education for nearly 40 years, started when I was 10, and some of the best outcomes for children have involved incredible partnerships between families, communities, and schools. I was blessed to have numerous and varied opportunities and experiences with parent engagement. As a graduate student, my practicum was at a Head Start agency where I learned firsthand the commitment to actively engage parents in their children's education. In my first full-time job as a school psychologist, I was fortunate to have a special education director who saw the need for parent workshops and tapped myself and 2 social workers to create and implement a 6-week parent workshop series that we implemented in elementary schools in the district. It was here that I learned the importance of understanding the population you work with. I worked in District 23 in New York City Public Schools, Brownsville, Brooklyn. It was one of the most impoverished districts in the system. Canned programs geared towards middle-class parents was not going to cut it here. I want to share just a couple of things that still stick in my memory from that work. First, I learned how valuable it is to work with people who understood the importance of tailoring a program to the population you are working with. Second, I learned that we could put on a program on a shoestring budget. This was in 1988, but I will tell you my memory is the special ed director gave us no money. Third, I learned that parents will participate if you give them something to hang their hat on. Our most popular workshop was the brown bag and a quarter. My experience in New York City Public Schools was transformative and shaped my career as a professor of school psychology. Now, I left that, and some of you may be wondering, what was the brown bag and a quarter, right? So the brown bag and a quarter was simply a grocery bag that we gave to parents that acted as a file cabinet. And we taught the parents about the importance of maintaining records. We taught the parents about the importance of that if you call a doctor or any other office, that you always need to get the name and number of the people you talk to so you can reference it. We talked about how to organize their life so that they would have documentation. And this was really, to me, one of the very surprising things, and interestingly enough, was the most important workshop and the one that the parents appreciated the most. What was the quarter? Well, today you don't need that, but it was for a payphone. And so we basically said, take a quarter and tape it somewhere so that in an emergency, because many of these families had no phones, you would always have a quarter for the payphone. And so my takeaway was these are very basic things that became life-changing for many of the parents that we were working with. I'm proud to say that throughout most of my career, I have been actively engaged with many Central Ohio districts. It has informed my teaching and my research. I've had a student do a thesis on parent engagement using Joyce Epstein's work. And I was engaged in a consultant role with Columbus City Schools family engagement projects in the mid-2000s. And of course, I am a parent. My children are 27 and 31. But I've done the traditional PTA, PTO work that we think we are supposed to do as parents. But probably my most important work is being an advocate for my son who has cerebral palsy. I feel fortunate that he came along after Public Law 99-457, the early childhood legislation, which had parents as active participants. I remember a colleague saying to me, you will be disappointed when you enter K-12. Because as a parent, you will have to fight for everything. That was not my case. I will say I personally had, for the most part, wonderful and amazing partnerships with my son's teachers and schools in the Columbus City School District. So if you haven't figured it out, I am a big proponent and advocate for effective family engagement. But make no mistake, I have also seen the lack of partnerships and the detriment to children, schools, and their families. The reality today is that children need both schools and families to be in concert with each other. As a state school board member, particularly the past 2 years, I've increasingly heard and been dismayed with talk about suspicions around SEL in schools and a misguided notion that schools are not being transparent. It is simply that parents never thought to ask about many of these things, such as the syllabus and the curriculum. They've all been there for parents to check out. There is the notion that we need to leave certain things to parents and schools need to focus on reading, writing, and math. But the presumption also is that all families are equipped to provide the necessary tools to their children to be successful academically, mentally, socially, and behaviorally. Some folks think we still have nuclear family units that consist of two heterosexual parents, which was family life in the 1950s. But today's reality is much different. Family life has changed. Two-parent households have been declining in the U.S., and there is no one dominant family form. In 1960, 73% of all children were living in family with two married parents. In 1980, 61% of children were living with two married parents. And by 2015, 46% were living in such an arrangement. We increasingly have grandparents raising grandchildren and single parents raising their children. We know that out-of-school factors weigh heavily on student success. And research, let me say it again, research indicates family engagement can lead to a higher grades and test scores, improved attendance, and better behavior, all things you have been working towards. Parents are doing the best they can. More than ever, we need to build positive partnerships with families and their communities. One of the core principles of the Ohio Department of Education strategic plan is partnerships. And I will tell you, this is one of the things that I am most proud of working on in my time on the board. There is a recognition that Ohio's whole child framework requires a comprehensive approach that includes district, school, family, and community supporting the children's needs. The pandemic has shown us that we need to be united in partnerships that support our students to advance their academics, mental health, and future outcomes. We also need to recognize that what works in upper middle class, predominantly white districts most likely will not work in a low income, under-resourced school district with a predominant minoritized population or a rural district in Appalachia. Joyce Epstein's research gets that. What all districts need, regardless of typology, are efforts to build strong, authentic family engagement for their students. You don't really need my wisdom, but I will share some thoughts to consider. But I will acknowledge many of them are probably already on your radar screen. First, if possible, ignore the highly divisive rhetoric that is consuming education. It is a distraction to the real work that needs to be done. It is a solution to a non-existent problem. 2, children need us now more than ever. The pandemic dramatically changed the lives of so many families across the country. Students have experienced stress, trauma, learning loss, grief, and anger. Schools need support structures to help students and their families navigate the challenges they are facing. We also need to acknowledge that inequities that exist and invest in ways that will overcome many inequitable outcomes that present with some students. We need to recognize and acknowledge that equality and equity are not the same thing. Investing time and creativity in getting parents involved often pays off, which I'm sure many of you are finding out. Out of school factors, more than ever, weigh heavily on student success. And studies show and research indicates, again, that family engagement can lead to higher grades and test scores, improved attendance, and better behavior. I think that is so important and needs repeating. It does make a difference. Promote positive relationships between teachers and parents. And to me, there's just a recognition that all of us are tired. Teachers are exhausted. Parents are exhausted. Administrators are exhausted. And so we all have to take that into consideration. And I'm sure that all of you have done that. And that's why today the celebration is so important, to celebrate the things that you've been doing all year. Continue to embrace partnerships between community, schools, and family. It is okay to need each other. That's the one thing that is so important to me. And then share what you do. We don't toot our horn enough in education. We don't share that these best practices make a difference in the lives of children. I would be happy to put you on our agenda at the state school board meeting so that our board members can hear that partnerships matter in the lives of students. So Barbara, if anybody wants to do that, I will make that happen. And I say that because that is impactful when we hear testimony about things that work and the difference it makes in the lives of our students. So I hope some people will do that because I think what you guys are doing is amazing. And continue to advocate for evidence-based practices. I want to end with a poem that I hope captures your work. And if anybody wants the poem, I will make sure Barbara has it. It's called Unity, and the author is unknown. I wish I was a poet, but I'm not. So I'm not even going to pretend to write anything like that. And so I found this one. I dreamed I stood in a studio and watched two sculptors there. The clay they used was a young child's mind, and they fashioned it with care. One was a teacher. The tools that were used were books, music, and art. The other, a parent, worked with a guiding hand and a gentle, loving heart. Day after day, the teacher toiled with touch that was deft and sure, while the parent labored close nearby and polished and smoothed it o'er. And when their task was done, they were proud of what they wrought. For the things they had molded into a child could neither be sold nor bought. And each agreed they would have failed if each had worked alone. For behind the parents stood the school, and behind the teacher stood the home. Thank you.
Well, that was lovely. I'm a little teary. Poetry does that sometimes, and that in particular really brings to heart the work that we do. It's work, but it is about families and schools being together and being sort of behind one another and supporting one another as we do this work. I'm wondering if Meredith, we can go to a gallery view here. I would love to welcome all of you to be able to thank Dr. Miranda, a brief comment in the chat, applaud in your video, or use the reaction button. We have so many ways of sharing our thanks. But you can turn your cameras on if you will. And thank you very much for that. That is very inspiring to us. And I'm so glad that you came, because I think throughout the year, we're working with these districts and you know, we have touch points with them, just like you are having a touch point with us right now. We have those, and we try to make the most of those times together. We have monthly check-ins and different things, and our coaches are checking in with districts. They have a touch point, and your districts have touch point. You know, we're all having this, but we know that in your schools, your teachers, your families, your school staff members, your leaders are where you are in it, up to your elbows, up to your knees, and we are grateful for that. We see you, we hear you, and we want to lift you up. So thank you for that, and thank you, Dr. Miranda, for taking the time out of your busy day to be here with us today. So, all right, with that.
Do y'all have a question?
Any questions for Dr. Miranda while she's here?
That's the only thing about Zoom. You can't.
We're watching the chat for you. Does anyone on our team notice anything in the chat?
No, but I'm wondering why you decided to become a school board member in particular in Ohio.
Whoa.
Briefly.
You know, I will tell you, it was not on my radar screen. And as I said, you know, I am coming up on the end of my career. And I will tell you that I'm still passionate about schools. I'm still passionate about school psychology. My new role has been chair of the Department of Teaching and Learning, and I have been loving that. And about, I would say about 7 years ago, I started thinking about, what could I do? I didn't want to start a nonprofit. I wasn't interested in that. And it was the 50th anniversary of ESCA. And I was doing some work with OEA and talking with them. And I think his name is Matt Ides, one day called me and said, I have a proposition for you. And he said, we want to support you to run for the State Board of Education. And I remember distinctly being in my office and laughing. And he said, oh, no, we're serious. It literally took me about another 3 months to think about getting in. And I will say that as I started to campaign, I was so humbled by teachers. My husband is a teacher, and so I knew what that looked like. But I was so humbled by teachers who were running for legislation and the power that they had and the passion that they had, and the support that I got from teachers. And I would hear people say, you have something unique you can bring to the board. You have this background in mental health. You have a background in special ed, and you're the parent of a child that has special needs. And I agree. Most of the board members do not have an education background. They've not been in schools. I'm sort of dismayed that, that people are making decisions about schools and they've not been in a classroom. And so I am proud of, I hope, the legacy that I will leave, and that I'm able to advocate for schools, for teachers, for related service workers, and for administrators to try to do the best thing for all of Ohio's kids. And so I think that is what is passionate about me. I've been fortunate that I've worked in the most urban school district. I've worked in rural school districts, and I've worked in suburban school districts. And I didn't have a long career as a practicing school psychologist, but I had that opportunity to do that. And I understood the difference in those districts. And so when I go in, I see myself as representing all the students in the state of Ohio. And that's what I hope in the remaining 2.5 years that I can continue to do, and try to bring truth to what we need in schools. And I hope that is what I'm able to do. Probably a long answer for that, but I have really come to see the importance of the work that I am doing there. And of course, probably our most important work that we're doing now is appointing a superintendent, maybe next week.
Thank you for all your work for Ohio.
Yeah, you're welcome.
We have some thanks and for your courageous leadership and really your voice for teachers and educators. This idea of no decisions about us without us and being considered. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I tell you, sometimes legislators, I'm sure you're all following this Dyslexia Guidebook, but legislators make decisions without input from educators, and it really comes back to bite them. But it will be happening. We will probably vote the Dyslexia Guidebook out. Everybody's wondering about that. And at this next meeting, but I think that's one of the things that I think is really important for us to kind of connect with legislators, so that when they make legislation, I think oftentimes we have so many unintended consequences that impact not only families, but impact teachers and the education system. And I hope that we start to work more in partnership rather than working in silos.
Any other questions for Dr. Miranda? Any other comments? Yeah,
feel free to give my email. I do have my State Board of Ed email, but I am very bad about checking it. I check it about twice a week, whereas my OSU email, I check ad nauseum 10 times a day, if not more. So if anybody is saying, hey, I want to come present, let me know. I'd be happy to try to make that happen within the next year or so. I think it would be powerful.
We would love to be able to help coordinate that if there are a few of you, and we can, help in any of that communication or to highlight the work that you're doing, we would be happy to do that with all of these districts here. And here's an invite from, I think it's Latonia. They're having a family festival on May 13th. So there's an invitation there. I'm sure you get lots of those, but we've got a personal one here from one of our districts. So
yeah, it's our last faculty meeting on May 13th, and we're doing a celebration because it's been so hard. So I'm actually throwing a barbecue for my faculty so that they can hopefully see the work that they've been doing for the year.
Mm-hmm.
But yes. I would like to say that I know exactly what districts I represent, but because the redistricting map is so crazy. But hey, I will come. If I can come out to visit anybody, I will try to do that. And Barbara, I will send you this poem so that you can send it to everybody else. I put what it was titled, so some people may have been able to pull it up on the internet. I'll make sure I give that to you. So I'm getting ready for our undergraduate reception up at OSU. So I'm going to take off and be able to do that. So.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for this. That was very special for us. And please know that we appreciate it very much. Yeah. So bye-bye. All right. How are we doing? Can you see my screen?
Yes, looks good.
All right. Well, I hope that you enjoyed that as much as I think our team did. From your comments, I think that was, I hope that you felt seen and heard by a school board member for our state. And getting her ready for just talk to all of you, she wanted to know all about you and the work that we're doing. And I had the pleasure to do that, to sit with her and tell her all about the work that you're doing. So anyway, let's keep moving along because it's really sort of about you. And so I wanted to share some more photos with you. We have here Wyndham. From Wyndham, we have Catherine Thomas Elementary, and we love seeing it hanging up there in the hallway by the media center. That's awesome to see your team and the banner, as well as the junior and senior high. And we were so excited to have students here, which I'm assuming maybe are students of the month associated with that banner above that even. So, so fun that you're pulling both of those together. It's great to see. Also, Cleveland Heights University Heights here with the banner there in front of the ever-present trophy cases. We hope that you think your partnerships and the work that you're doing is another thing, recognition and a trophy like that. So great to see your team there, as well as Noble Elementary School. This is a great outside shot with a big team of folks that we're really grateful to see. So thanks, Cleveland Heights University Heights, for sending those photos to us. Well, we are here because you showed up, and we just want to very quickly, there are 59 schools now in the districts that are here with us celebrating today, and in those 29 school districts. So you have a lot of folks to draw from. As we go into our breakout sessions, you have a lot of colleagues and wisdom to pull from there. We have 20 regional coaches with all of you. And together, as we look at all of your district plans and your school plans together, we saw 954 partnership activities. Those are things you are doing, efforts you're making in the area of parenting, communicating, volunteering, decision-making, collaborating with the community, and learning at home for school student learning, for their well-being and behavior, for school climate. We saw 954, and we just think about how many families and students are benefiting from this work that collectively you are doing. So thank you for that. So you're all over the map, and you're the red and blue dots in this map. We also have some new schools. We have our red and blue are those of you who are joining us here today in this celebration, but we want you to know that another group of 17 districts and 45 schools came together this spring to embark on the same journey that you are in being a partnership school that we hope will continue for the life of your school and your community. So there's more coming. So as we celebrate and we come together next year for meeting Colleague Connects and other things, we will have more folks joining us there. So I would like to just pause for a moment. I think sometimes hearing about the big picture and how we fit into that and being on the right track is great to hear. And I think Dr. Miranda really was inspiring in that way. I also want to share with you, this is a national report that came out in March of this year, so just a month or so ago. And it is a national report of data from teachers and families from around our country that pulled together and what they learned and what the report really sort of reiterated something that we all know, but it really became clear to all of us in the last years that parents play a very important role in their kids' education, K-12. And when we work to educate children, we have to work with the families of each student if we're going to really have students experience their best learning. That's a fact. We know that. And I think Dr. Miranda kind of made that point several times for us. So this report sort of made this statement about the results. The question isn't whether we engage with families, but how. And this is what we're working towards. We're improving each year. It's the how of our family and community engagement. And they really gave us 3 priorities for moving forward. And what I was excited about was that you are in really hitting on all of these priorities. We are on the right track, not just with the Johns Hopkins model, but with family engagement as our state school board see it, as our professors see it, and as this national report sees it as well. So one of the things they say, there are 3 points they make, and it's just going to take me about 3 more minutes to tell you about this, to place trust and teamwork at the center of your homeschool partnerships. So schools will build trust. They prioritize that 2-way communication that we know is so important. And they put this in place by giving teachers time and direction for not only sharing information, but for learning from from families, for not just sharing information with families, but also learning from families. The teachers have time. They have a process. They're doing that. And it's like those positive phone calls home. It's like the test messaging that we're using. Research shows that even a light touch, like a positive phone call, can build trust that teachers have in families and families have in teachers. You also built around teamwork. You have action teams in your schools, including parents on those teams. And on the larger scale, you created activities in those 6 key areas that strengthen the teamwork across the board, across your schools for the families and students and teachers in your schools. So we encourage you to celebrate the trust that you built and the teamwork that you've done and continue to do as you move forward. The second part of this report that I want to share with you that they said is to anchor family engagement in student learning and well-being. And that's what you've done. Family engagement, it's not an end in itself. It's what we do to support students. And so for families in this national report and from families we hear about in Ohio, in order to support their children's learning and well-being, they need accurate and understandable description of how their kids are doing. They need truth. They need it sooner than later. They said that 9 out of 10 parents in America rely on report cards as their source of how their child's doing. And 84% of families in our country concluded, my kid's doing great. But we know the national data tells us and our local data tells us that lots of students aren't on track. And it's our job to bring families into this picture to really help them understand their child's progress well. And we saw many of you doing just that this year, letting families know how their kids are doing. We saw phone calls. We saw text messages. We saw videos you created. We saw you revising your project, your progress reports. We see you doing, you rolled up your sleeves and said, if families we're going to communicate with them or we want them to support their kids' learning, we want to improve how they can understand how their kids are doing. So way to go in already diving into that work. And the third thing they say is to have systems and structures that enable this work. And you all have taken big steps to do this in the last 2 years. We've seen you assigning time and a district leader for partnerships. We've seen district leader coaching school action teams. We've seen district plans, school teams, school plans dedicated to family engagement. We've seen you collecting lots of data to measure the impacts of your activities. We've seen you dedicating funding to this, new policies, and the overall integration of family engagement into your school improvement plans. Those are systems and structures. And you've created shared responsibility for family engagement from your district to your school leaders, your teams, your teachers, your support staff, your community partners, and your families. We are doing this together, and you are making that happen. The report recommends that we focus our efforts on developing our staff and giving them time to communicate and interact with families, and less on trying to change families' behaviors. And so I think that's a charge for all of us to really look at, does our staff have the time, and how can we create space for them to dedicate effort to this? So in conclusion, I just want to tell you all how heartened I was when I read this report, that you are doing the right things to strengthen your school's teamwork with families. And we look forward to supporting and working with you as you continue this work in the future. So, all right, I digress, because right now I just want to show some more school pictures here. I'd love to share with you Columbus City Schools Eakin Elementary. I just love that you can stand in front of this wall and have wings behind you. That's such a cool picture. And so we thank you for that. And also Columbus City Schools Westmore Middle Schools. Thank you for that. We love seeing students in these photos, and it's great seeing middle school students. We have a special place in our heart here at OSU for middle school students. And Mansfield City Schools. And this one, we all were so delighted to see the service dog in the picture as well. So I hope they're on your team roster. I think it's great. So thank you for sending this, Mansfield City Schools. Mansfield just been going great and really scaling up in so many schools. And we're so glad to see that and want to support that. Ashland Middle School, we love seeing this. This is one of the earliest ones that came out. I was so excited. We looked at this a lot. We were so grateful for this picture that you sent to us. As well as Greenfield Exempted Village Schools, this Rainsboro Elementary picture in the hallway. We love seeing this banner next to your team, next to the bulletin boards, and all the artwork in the hallway. So thank you for the work that you're doing at Rainsboro. And at McLean High School. This is such a high school picture. We could tell by this fresco or whatever it is across the top. We thought, wow, this is serious partnerships. We're in this high school here. So I'm really glad to see this partnership here, the banner here with in your high school always. So thank you for that. So now it's breakout room time. And so here is what we have for you. We would like you to just be able to, in a relaxed way, no preparation needed, to talk with one another. We are going to have some rooms available for you. We have a sort of an elementary room, middle school room, high school room, district leader room, and our SST coaches. We were thinking that would be a good way to sort of talk with folks about the work that you've been doing. Of course, it's up to you. So it's your choice. So, but these are sort of things that we see here that would be maybe good discussion groups for you to have. So we think it would be a good idea to talk about one thing you're really proud of this year, and one thing you're planning to do next year, and one question you might have for others in the room that would help you in your work. 3 things. So something you're proud of, something you're planning, and a question you have for others in the room. So I'm going to ask Kristen to sort of come on and let us know anything else we need to know before we head into these groups.
Oh, I'm muted. Meredith just put in, as a reminder, some discussion points in the chat. One thing you're proud of, one thing you're planning to do next year, a question you might have for others in your room. I have the rooms where you can choose which is appropriate for you, as far as elementary, middle, junior high, high school, district leaders, and SST coaches. I'll give you 30 minutes for this. And feel free, you can come back to the main room and hop to a different room if you choose. All right?
Yes. So we're not facilitating. We wanted you to have time to talk. This was just if we were together, how we would love to be in person. You would just be able to gather and mingle and talk. And so we're not going to structure it for you. So just try to, kind of give one another time and really enjoy spending some time with each other.
And you'll have until 1:45. So just kind of think about how to split up the time so everyone gets a chance to talk. And, if you do have a little bit of extra time at the end, feel free to take a quick break, and we'll get back in the main room at 1:45.
And as always, if you have any technical issues, please unmute yourself and let me know where you need to be, and I can put you there. All right, I'm going to open up the rooms now.
Well, Courtney, may the 4th be with you. It's great to have Yoda joining us here today. All right. They're having more fun in your offices and school than we are having here at OSU today, I think.
It's every Kid Healthy Week here at Washington Primary, and it's Star Wars Day. So Darth Vader and Yoda are joining you.
Oh, I love it. Thank you. So we would love to hear if there's anyone, I'm going to stop sharing. Maybe we could just go to gallery mode really quickly. And if any highlights to share from our elementary room, something someone was proud of or planned for next year. I just need someone to dive in.
I'll share out. This is Kristen Eric from Medina.
Thank you.
I'm actually homesick, so you're not going to see a picture of me if you don't mind that.
Not at all.
I had a career night this year that I did on the high school level. It was extremely well received. I had a lot of outside people come in, lining up the entire hallway. So because that was so well received, we have plans to do that again next year. And difference is I'm not going to plan it the same night as my elementary literacy night because we're all under one building, all K-12 grades. So that was a bit of a stretch trying to do 2 major events at the same time. So, but it was a good thing, and we're going to increase that idea for next year.
That's great. That's great to hear, and some lessons learned. It was successful with lessons learned for moving forward next year. How about another example? That was a great high school one, elementary, middle school.
I will say too that we were able to get back in person and have all of our family events. So we had all of our music performances and our math night and our reading night and our family fun run, and we're all back in everywhere. We've got volunteers back in our building. We've got 10 here today doing an Every Kid Healthy fun walk inside because it's raining. But that has been wonderful this year. I did concur with the group, like the struggles we faced this year. I think we were a little shocked by that it was still going on. Social emotional issues with our children is huge. It's been very, very high. So meeting those needs. One thing we did implement this year that I think we were able to reach some and got great response was our PBIS pride cards for being respectful, responsible, and kind. We extended and did an at-home pride card. So we gave families the information, the letters. Kids could then bring back a card that their parents wrote on what they did that was being kind from, I was sick and they took care of me, or they took out the trash, they fed the cats or whatever, and then they get positive feedback, praise from the office, and a small little treat. And so that's been good. We were still working on getting our community pride cards out to all of our business and community areas. That got stalled this year, but it is a plan for next year moving forward to make sure we meet with our Chamber of Commerce and get all those cards out so they can recognize kids when they're out in the community showing those skills.
That's such a great example of connecting family engagement plan to PBIS and then using and aligning that so that families and now your community are all sort of on the same page with your school and promoting those positive behaviors. That's a great example. Thank you for that. And I think we would love to see next year and talk next year about how do we keep working together to really connect with your PBIS team and your PBIS efforts. So that's a great example. I hope others will kind of hear that and think about how might you adopt that sort of idea in your schools to connect PBIS, homeschool, and community. So thank you, Courtney. All right, I am going to just kind of move us along. Thank you for that. I hope you enjoyed just time talking to each other and hearing from one another. I want to just wrap up here with a few more pictures. We love seeing the banner in Southern Local Schools in the hallway there, along with all the student work. It's great to see. And Latonia Elementary and Senior High School. So many different folks here in this picture, and all together with your banners. So thank you for that. And we can see your other banners in the hallway. So it's great to see you all sort of talking about your partnerships with home and the community, along with all those other priorities that you put on the walls to remind everyone that that's important work for you. So great to see that. In Alliance City Schools, we love that it's up here with an Urban Meyer, another Buckeye quote here on the wall. And it just seems to all really fit together too, about, choosing how we respond. I mean, that's really what you all are doing, is not just sitting back and saying, well, we don't know what to do, or, families will do what they do, but you're saying, no, we can step in and we can really influence that. We can create meaningful family engagement that's going to support our student learning. And so we're really grateful to see this in the hallway here, as well as Alliance City School, the intermediate and middle school as well. Thanks for sending these pictures. It's great to see your smiles and see your schools. So I guess we want to do a shout out here. I'm going to stop sharing for just a moment. And I just want to kind of give a clap and kudos in the chat on your screen, if you want to turn on your videos, for our coaches. There was some great discussion going on in their rooms as they got together, but our coaches, can I ask our coaches to turn your cameras on? We can see your smiling faces. Hello. And all right, so kudos to our coaches. Thank you all for being here today, for taking the time. Thank you for that ongoing coaching, and how you all are thinking really hard about how do you continue to be a coach really well, and how you're thinking about how to help and how family engagement is on the agenda. It's on the DLT agenda. It's on the BLT agenda. It's in the one plan. It's part of PBIS. And that's such a great way that you all see it, bringing the perspective you have across a whole region of districts, being able to bring that to our district leaders for consideration, and to think about how does this all get knit together so that we're working not separately with family engagement, but it's a part of the work that we do and it's embedded. So thank you for our coaches. Shout out to you all, and all this great support that you provide to everyone. Thank you for that and your commitment. And a little Brutus. All right. So I'm going to end here very quickly with just some opportunities that I want to make sure that you are aware of. And just so you know, we will also follow up today with a recording, with an email. We'll have all this information in it. But next school year, we have 2 morning learning sessions again with our team. Dr. Epstein will be working with us, and we will be looking at your questions and the work that you're doing, and that though we will dedicate that time to as much as we can align it to the questions you're asking and the support that you want from us. So please feel free to reach out and say, hey, I'd really like you to talk about this. And that would really help us. So let us know. We have that time set aside, and we are posting a calendar for you in the chat that you can use. We have monthly office hours, or we are calling Colleague Connects. We have those scheduled every month next year. We will be available. Our team will be available. And what we're really hoping to do is to help facilitate more hearing from your district. I recently got to hear the Wycliffe superintendent talk about your amazing family resource center. And we would love to highlight that and talk about engaging families in through something like a family resource center. You all have different approaches, and we want to really highlight those and give the opportunity for you all to hear from one another. So we have those scheduled, and those are in that on that schedule. We also, you'll have your monthly coaching sessions with your state support team, whether that's they're on site with you for that meeting, or whether they're touching base with you online, that ongoing continued support from your state support team. As well as, we want to invite all of you, if you'll mark your calendars, we will hold a virtual Family Engagement Leadership Summit. This will be our 3rd one on September 16th. So I hope you'll mark your calendar. It'll be a day full of sessions that you can choose from, focused on leading family engagement in your schools. And we will cover lots of topics, but we do know that we will also be addressing literacy, connecting with the Department of Education around communicating and working with families on the new dyslexia requirements and other things. We're going to have a lot of topics, mental health, of course, and other sports there. So please, if you can, mark your calendar. That is for any of you that are able to take advantage of that. And then we also have, open right now is the registration for a course we call Foundations of Family Engagement. And we are really trying to focus on teachers enrolling in this course. This is something you can add to your plan for your building, that teachers will take part in our August Foundations for Family Engagement course. As we reflect on the participants from the past, our teachers from our Ohio partnership schools were really on the ball. They were just the strongest group there. And so we're really hoping that more teachers from your districts and your buildings will be able to take part in this. And we are posting a link to the registration and a flyer and other things so you can share this with folks. But that registration is open now. And finally, one more reminder that, Joyce Epstein and her team at Johns Hopkins continues to conduct research on all of us who are implementing this model, and a membership with them means that we continue to get those books of promising practices that are examples from schools like ours from all over. We continue to be able to pick up the phone and call her team and talk to them and get the technical assistance from them. And so I hope that you will renew your membership in the National Network of Partnership Schools, and that means completing that really short sort of update. And I know your state support team coach can help you with that, and our team here at OSU is happy to answer any questions you have. It's not hard to fill out, and it's, I think, worthwhile to kind of keep your membership active with Johns Hopkins. So we hope that you will do that. All right. Well, from all of us here at OSU, and it's not all of us here, just Meredith and I, we just want to thank you for the great work that you did this year and the commitment that you've made to building stronger partnerships with families, to increase your knowledge and skills, and to bring that to the families and the students in your community. So thank you from all of us. And we just think that this has been a great job, and we are glad that you took the time today to be here with all of us and to celebrate with us. Thanks, and have a great rest of your day. And we will see you at the end, or at the beginning.
There's a slideshow that we recorded.
Oh, there is.
All the school team pictures that you can take away and share with others who couldn't be here today. It's got highlights from all the school plans that for people who submitted the pictures. It's got some jazz music in the background. So we can play it as a send-off, or you could just watch it on your own anytime. We have it up on the webpage for coaches and schools. So our little thank you for coming today.
I'm going to go ahead and open that up, and thank you all for being here today, and we'll get it playing here. I'll share my screen.
Have a great weekend, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
If we don't see you, have a wonderful summer as well.
Thanks to all of you. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Angela. Our pleasure.
All right. Let me get it back here. You see and hear that okay?